Sometimes, the truth is right in front of us, but some will do anything to keep it hidden. The bank doors burst open, sending a wave of tension through the room. Heads snap toward the entrance as a masked man storms in, gripping a gun tightly in his hand. His eyes scan the crowd, sharp and calculating. No one dares to move. Robber shouting,
"Everyone on the ground, now!"
A few customers scream and drop to the floor. The bank employees freeze in place, paralyzed by fear. The security guard, moving carefully, reaches toward his holster when a single gunshot echoes through the bank. The room falls into absolute silence. The security guard stumbles backward, crashing to the floor. Blood quickly spreads across the carpet. Without hesitation, the robber turns to the desks, stuffing wads of cash into his bag before sprinting toward the exit. The bank's alarm blares, and the distant wail of sirens fills the street. Outside the bank, chaos erupts. Bystanders scatter, screaming. Police chatter crackles through radios.
Suspect is a black male, wearing a black hoodie, fleeing west. We're in pursuit.
A few blocks away, Malik Turner walks casually, sipping his coffee. His mind is occupied with his phone, completely unaware of what's unfolding nearby. Police cars screech to a stop in front of him. Doors fly open, guns drawn. A small crowd begins to gather.
"Hands in the air! Get on the ground!"
Malik's eyes widen in shock. He instinctively raises his hands, his heart pounding in his chest.
What's happening? I'm just walking.
The officers ignore his words. Before he can react, he's shoved to the ground. His knees slam into the hard pavement, his coffee spilling across the sidewalk.
Thought you could rob a bank and just walk away, huh?
Cold steel cuffs snap around his wrists. The officers yank him to his feet, dragging him toward a squad car. Some bystanders look away, while others nod in silent approval.
I didn't do anything. Why won't you see that you've got the wrong guy?
Eyewitnesses saw you. Quit the storytelling.
Malik's reflection stares back at him in the car window. His breathing is uneven, his hands shaking in the cuffs. A knot forms in his throat. Whispering to himself, he asks the only question that matters.
How is this happening? They arrested me without even questioning me.
For some, justice isn't about who committed the crime, but who gets blamed for it. The prosecutor claims to have undeniable evidence to convict Malik, but someone is chasing the real truth. Defense attorney Samantha Hayes. Sometimes the truth is so obvious that we fail to see it. But what if our eyes are being deceived? Malik Turner grips the edges of his chair, trying to steady his breath. His attorney, Samantha Hayes, scans the jury members as she flips open her file. Across the room, prosecutor Richard Collins stands calm, his posture exuding confidence.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the security footage we have presented is the most compelling evidence in this case, and the defendant cannot deny the reality staring us in the face.
The jury remains fixated on the screen, their eyes narrowing as the footage plays again. Security, footage, replays. A man who looks exactly like Malik walks into the bank. He lowers his mask. His face is clearly visible on the screen. Murmurs spread through the jury box. Malik leans forward, his eyes locked onto the screen. His hands begin to tremble.
This isn't me, but he looks just like me.
The prosecutor folds his arms and smirks as if victory is already his.
Mr. Turner can sit here and weave all the stories he wants, but evidence speaks louder than words. And the man you see in this footage is undeniably him.
Samantha furrows her brows, her eyes locked onto the screen. Something is off. But what?
This footage, something isn't right, but what am I missing?
As the suspect walks out of the bank, something flashes on his wrist. A watch. But Malik doesn't wear a watch. Samantha's eyes widen as realization hits her. Samantha shoots up from her seat, stepping toward the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you've watched this footage carefully, haven't you? Now answer me this. Malik Turner does not wear a watch, but in the video, the suspect is wearing one. Explain to me, how is that possible?
A ripple of whispers spreads through the room. Malik looks down at his wrist, his face clouded with confusion. The jury members hastily jot down notes. A flicker of unease crosses Collins's face, but it's gone just as fast. He quickly regains composure.
Ms. Hayes, security footage can sometimes appear blurry, or perhaps your client wore an accessory that day that he normally doesn't.
Samantha narrows her eyes, studying the prosecutor's expression.
Or maybe this footage has been tampered with.
The jury exchanges wary glances. Judge Calloway bangs his gavel.
Ms. Hayes, do you have any evidence to support this claim?
Samantha inhales sharply. Now, she has no choice. She must prove whether this footage is real or fake. Samantha is on the verge of uncovering falsified evidence. But what if the truth is part of something much bigger than she ever imagined? Can Samantha find proof that the footage has been manipulated? Hiding the truth is difficult, but blaming someone is always easier. Late at night, Samantha Hayes sits alone in her office, glued to the screen. The security footage plays on loop in front of her, over and over again. Something doesn't feel right. There's a mistake.
There's something wrong here, but what am I not seeing?
At a certain moment in the video, the suspect's wrist gleams with a watch, but Malik Turner never wears a watch. Samantha quickly pulls up Malik's photos. His wrists are always bare. Samantha frowns and rewinds the footage. Then, she sees it. A shadow error. The suspect's shadow suddenly disappears for a single frame.
This footage has been tampered with.
The clock is approaching dawn. Samantha grabs her phone and dials a digital forensics expert.
I need you to analyze this footage immediately. Something is off, and we don't have time.
On the screen, AI-assisted forensic tools begin scanning the video, and the result is clear. The footage has been altered. Samantha walks into the courtroom, armed with new evidence. Malik Turner looks at her with cautious hope. Judge Calloway bangs his gavel.
Ms. Hayes, you claim to have new evidence to present. Proceed.
The courtroom's large screen lights up. Samantha places two videos side by side.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you are now watching two different versions of the same footage. One is the prosecution's version, and the other is the unedited original footage.
Both videos begin playing side by side. In the original video, the suspect's wrist is bare. In the prosecution's version, a watch suddenly appears on his wrist. The jury members exchange stunned glances. Collins shifts uncomfortably, his frown deepening. His eyes dart toward Judge Calloway, trying to gauge his reaction.
Ms. Hayes, where exactly did you obtain this footage? Who verified its authenticity?
I had to personally verify them because the original files were conveniently missing from the evidence submitted to this court.
Jury members jot down notes, whispering among themselves. Judge Calloway narrows his eyes, then slams his gavel.
We will conduct an immediate analysis of these recordings if the defense's claim is true. This case takes a whole new turn.
For the first time, Malik feels real hope. The truth is finally coming to light. But who altered these recordings? Is Prosecutor Collins truly unaware of the deception? Or is this part of something much bigger than anyone expected? Who tampered with the footage? Can Samantha uncover the dark truth behind this case? In a courtroom, the greatest danger isn't those who hide the truth. It's those who panic when the truth comes out. Prosecutor Collins places his hands firmly on the table, trying to maintain his composure. The jury members exchange stunned glances, digesting the new evidence. Samantha Hayes stands tall at the podium, unwavering. Judge Calloway bangs his gavel, his brow furrowing.
Ms. Hayes, the evidence you've just presented directly contradicts the security footage submitted by the prosecution.
Samantha Hayes, her voice rising, turns to the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, remember what you just saw. The footage presented by the prosecution shows the suspect wearing a watch, but in the unaltered version, there is no watch.
Prosecutor Collins quickly rises, his expression tense as he addresses the jury.
Ms. Hayes is simply trying to distract you. The only thing that matters here is this. Who was arrested after the bank robbery? Malik Turner.
Jury members exchange uncertain glances. Samantha narrows her eyes, turning to face Collins.
Tell me, Mr. Collins, if this footage is so solid, why was it tampered with? Because you know the truth. Malik Turner is innocent.
Judge Calloway leans forward, his expression unreadable. His voice is heavy with authority.
This courtroom upholds the fundamental principles of law. If evidence has been manipulated, it must be exposed. Prosecutor Collins, what do you have to say about the defense's allegations?
Prosecutor Collins clenches his jaw, his fingers tightening on the desk.
Your Honor, the footage submitted to this court was obtained directly from law enforcement records. I merely presented the evidence given to me.
Samantha turns back to the jury, taking a few measured steps forward. She pulls up both versions of the footage on the screen.
I ask you all, look at these two videos. If both are supposed to be real, how can they contradict each other?
One of the jury members shakes their head. Prosecutor Collins visibly stiffens, his discomfort growing. Malik leans forward in his seat, his eyes filled with frustration and exhaustion. His voice, however, is steady and strong.
I wasn't even near that bank, but here I am, fighting for my life over a crime I didn't commit. Is that fair? If I'm in that video, then where is the footage of the officers who arrested me?
The courtroom falls completely silent. One jury member lowers their gaze. A journalist scribbles furiously into their notebook. Suddenly, the courtroom doors swing open. A technician from the police department steps in, clutching a folder.
Your Honor, I have conclusive proof that the videos submitted to this court were altered.
Judge Calloway's eyes narrow. The jury members lean forward as the technician hands over his findings.
What is the meaning of this? Who gave you this information?
You don't need to know who exposed it. You already know the footage was tampered with.
Samantha takes a deep breath, facing the jury one last time. Her eyes burn with determination.
There are people in this courtroom trying to hide the truth, but if justice is to prevail, you must ask yourself who is truly guilty here.
Judge Calloway nods solemnly. Prosecutor Collins clenches his fists and sits down, his jaw tight. Malik Turner closes his eyes, inhaling deeply. Now, everything depends on the jury. But will this court have the courage to deliver true justice? The jury announces its verdict. But will the real criminal finally be exposed? Justice is not only about revealing the truth, it's about when and how the truth is revealed. Today, will a life be saved, or will it be destroyed forever? Inside the jury room, an eerie silence lingers. Jury members exchange glances, reviewing the documents in front of them. Malik Turner clasps his hands tightly, taking deep, measured breaths. Samantha Hayes, his defense attorney, keeps her eyes locked on the jury doors, awaiting their final decision. The door swings open. The jury foreman steps in, walking with deliberate slowness. The courtroom holds its breath. Judge Calloway turns toward the foreman, his face unreadable.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Malik stops breathing for a second. Samantha clenches her fists. Prosecutor Collins tightens his jaw, his eyes flickering with frustration. The jury foreman takes a deep breath before delivering the final judgment.
The court finds the defendant, Malik Turner, not guilty on all charges.
Malik lifts his head, his eyes brimming with emotion. Samantha exhales deeply, allowing herself a small, victorious smile. Some jury members exchange nods of approval. Prosecutor Collins abruptly stands, slamming his fist onto the table.
Now, this is outrageous. The altered footage reports have only confused this case. Malik Turner's innocence was never proven beyond doubt.
Enough, Mr. Collins. The jury has spoken. I will not allow any more outbursts in my courtroom.
Collins clenches his jaw, his anger barely contained as he drops back into his seat. A police officer steps forward, slowly unlocking the cuffs around Malik's wrists. Malik looks down at his hands, rubbing his sore wrists as the weight of his freedom finally sets in.
I'm free?
Yes, Malik. But not just for you. This is a victory for justice.
Samantha turns to face the jury, her expression growing serious again. A lingering tension still hangs in the air.
This court must open a new investigation to find the real culprit. If Malik is innocent, where is the real bank robber?
The courtroom doors burst open. Again! A police officer rushes inside, his eyes locked onto Judge Calloway. In his hands, a thick, classified case file.
Your Honor, new evidence has surfaced, and we've identified the true culprit.
The entire courtroom freezes. Prosecutor Collins's face stiffens, his body going rigid. Judge Calloway narrows his eyes, shifting in his chair. Samantha smirks slightly, already sensing the tides turning. If Malik is innocent, then who is the real criminal? Sometimes justice isn't served inside a courtroom, but in the moment when the truth can no longer be buried. Malik Turner takes a long breath, finally feeling the weight of his freedom. But the fight for real justice, that battle, is just beginning.